You've been to therapy after therapy. You've practiced sounds at home, repeated every exercise, and tried every suggestion. Maybe you've even gone through tongue and lip tie revisions, hoping this would finally unlock your child's voice. Yet here you are, your little one still struggling to communicate, still plateauing, still feeling that same frustration. And as you watch other kids their age chattering away, your heart can't help but ache and wonder, what are we missing? Here's what no one is really talking about. Nearly 1 in 12 children in the US between the ages of 3 and 17 struggle with a voice, speech, language, or swallowing disorder. And almost all of them are given the same traditional approach. Focus on the output, the sounds, the words, the muscles. But what's missing is the fact that speech isn't just an output problem, it's also an input and coordination problem that starts in the brain and the sensory nervous system. The truth is, more drills and more practice won't fix what's happening underneath. When stress and interference build up in the nervous system, it disrupts the foundation of how speech actually develops and functions. That's why for so many families, traditional therapy helps for a while, but then hits a wall. Speech delays and communication challenges are far more often an issue of input and processing than of expression alone. And until that deeper neurological piece is addressed, progress will always be limited. Now in this video, we're going to break down the 3-step neurological process of speech development and show you how subluxation, or nervous system dysfunction, and vagus nerve interference create the perfect storm for speech delays. And most importantly, you're going to learn how restoring calm, balance, and coordination to your child's nervous system can unlock breakthroughs that traditional therapy on its own simply cannot achieve. So let's start by breaking down how speech actually works from a neurological perspective, because this is where so many families are left completely in the dark. Most people think speech is all about the mouth and the muscles, kind of the output. But in reality, speech production is a complex 3-step process that begins long before the words ever leave your child's lips. So first, the brain has to receive and organize sensory and auditory input. Then it has to process, integrate, and coordinate all of that information. Finally, only after those first 2 steps does the brain send signals to the muscles that produce speech. Here's the key point. When delays happen, the breakdown is usually not in the output stage. It's happening upstream in the brain and the nervous system during input and integration. That's why no amount of muscle drills or articulation practice can fully overcome what's really going on if those earlier neurological steps are disrupted. So what's causing that disruption? One of the biggest culprits is subluxation. Now, subluxation is more than just a bone being out of place. It's actually more of a neurological issue. It combines misalignment, reduced motion, and interference in the nervous system that disrupts the communication between the brain and the body. When this interference shows up, it can affect the nerve signals that guide speech muscles. It can make motor planning difficult, leading to things like apraxia, or create abnormal tone and coordination in the muscles of the mouth, the face, and even the muscles that we rely on for breathing. And for so many kids, these challenges start right at birth. Interventions like forceps, vacuum extraction, or C-section deliveries can injure the delicate upper cervical spine and nervous system region, areas that house critical nerves for speech and communication. One of those nerves is especially important. That's the vagus nerve. Now, this nerve plays a direct role in controlling the vocal cords, regulating pitch, volume, and clarity. But it also coordinates breathing and swallowing, which are essential for clear speech. But when the vagus nerve is disrupted, it doesn't just affect speech, it throws off the entire autonomic nervous system, keeping a child stuck in fight or flight mode and a nervous system in constant stress. It simply cannot communicate with the same ease, calm, and coordination that speech demands. This is why our approach is so different. So instead of focusing only on the output, we dig deeper to uncover the root causes. We start with a detailed case history to identify what we call the perfect storm. We want to know those early stressors and birth traumas that may have set the stage for neurological dysfunction. From there, we use our advanced insight scans to measure exactly where the nervous system is stressed or stuck. Now, these scans allow us to see what other providers often can't. And what we find over and over again is that speech delays aren't about a weak tongue or lazy muscles. They're about a nervous system that has lost the ability to efficiently move through that three-step process of input, integration, and output. Through gentle, neurologically focused chiropractic adjustments, we help restore that connection and that coordination. The result is that kids don't just work harder in speech therapy, they finally start to get more out of it. They find their voice, make breakthroughs that have seemed impossible, and get back on track developmentally. If what we've talked about today sounds all too familiar, you're not alone, and there is hope. If you're ready to dig deeper into your child's speech challenges to finally understand what their nervous system is telling you, and to see how insight scans can uncover the root causes that traditional therapy may be missing, we would love to connect with you. So click the link in our bio, you can drop a comment, or you can send us a message today. Let's take that next step together toward helping your child find their voice.